Dialogue was understood to be some kind of an apologetic way of trying to convert people of other faiths through the means of dialogue. Of course, we have come a long way to understand that because as people of faith will live in a world together, there is a symbiotic sense that we not only share the world, but we also share our faith in the world. In that sense, therefore, the do's and don'ts of dialogue mean that we are encouraged to a deeper dialogue through a communicatio in sacris. It means that we share the sense of the sacred, the sense of the transcendent with the people of other faiths. They have similar sense of the divine, the ultimate. That is why we are encouraged to follow this path and not the apologetic path. Further, we are also encouraged to know that the problems of the world are so vast that to respond to them, none can do it alone. Not a single community of faith can respond to the enormity of the problems of our world. That is why we are encouraged to work with one another to solve the problems of injustice and bring justice to the world, to solve the problem of violence through a dialogical process, to establish peace in this world, peace and harmony, where all of us can live together as people of faith and in the biblical sense as children of God. We therefore do not enter into the theological jargon that, we all are the same and that all of us are saved. Surely, in the way best known to God, the working of the Holy Spirit assures that. But our dialogue, therefore, is not about bickering about theological issues. Our dialogue is further not about the strengths and weaknesses of one another. Our dialogue is about the deepest communion that each faith manifests with the divine and the human. I would like to give an example, and that example is that if we look at how a flower blooms with the warmth of the sun and the moisture in the earth. That moisture is because the plant of the rose or any flower is deeply rooted in the ground. And the warmth of the sun is the grace that all of us receive in good measure when we live in the knowledge and the belief that the divine providence accompanies us. So, being rooted in one's faith is what calls us to be aware that our faith and our religious beliefs are different, but that while religious beliefs are different, we need to be focused that our communicatio in sacris, that our focus is on a life of faith lived in God by different people, by different communities of faith. So, dialogue is not something ethereal. Dialogue is an invitation to all of us as people of faith to build a better world, to know that we have a mission, all of us have a mission in this world, a mission of unity and a mission of love. That is why through dialogue we can resolve some of our problems, but even when problems persist, we know that the Divine is beckoning us to live in harmony as the children of the Divine. Further, I would therefore say, both our rootedness and the grace that accompanies us calls us to know, to understand, and to learn from one another so that we grow as people of faith. The dialogue, therefore, is not about things not seen, but about how we experience the Divine in our lives. Through the faith that we have, each one of us is a faithful person, aware of the Divine mystery. Yet, we know our understanding of that mystery is always limited because our religious language is limited. So, dialogue, therefore, is necessary to understand that without language we cannot speak of our religious experience, nor can we speak of the Divine. A further point, and maybe the point worth mentioning, is that life is a gift. And so long as we live life, we need one another to live it. Because a human is a communitarian being. A human by very nature is one who shares his or her deepest joys and his or her deepest sadness or pain. That is why a social being that we are, we cannot live without dialogue. It is not just secular dialogue, but it is also dialogue of matters religious that we are called to. So then, there are not simply do's and don'ts, but deep inner dynamic of dialogue that all of us need to understand as people of faith and as mere human beings. Finally, if we want to build a better world, if we want to create a new heaven and a new earth, we can do it through collaboration with others. And collaboration means dialogue, that we learn the best from one another. We become aware of what may not be conducive to our mission of building a new world. But then we rely on the grace that is shared between us, the Spirit who guides us, animates us, and leads us to live a life of dialogue in our world.